What we're looking at here is the Panasonic Whisper ceiling exhaust fan. This was installed 3 years ago, and it's overdue for a cleaning. Things you may need: a work light, a ladder. You won't be able to have that on, so that's why I have the work light, and maybe an extension cord and a pair of gloves. Panasonic recommends that we do this maintenance every year. It's been 3 years, and you can see that the vents are partially clogged with dust. Remember, air's being exhausted, it's humid, so things are going to stick, and you want to get rid of that buildup because it's also going to affect the noise level and the airflow. So the more of this stuff we can get off, the better the unit will work. In order to remove the plastic grill, you literally just grab it and gently pull down. There'll be 2 sets of metal springs that'll catch and keep it from falling. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to compress those by hand so that you can get them past the catch that's inside. And once you do that, then it'll free up one side of it. And then you do the same thing to the opposite side until the cover comes off. Well, not hard. It can be frustrating because the springs are constantly fighting you and you have to hold them together, and that's not the way they want to be. But persevere and you will be able to get it down, and then all that's left is the power lead. Here's a close-up of and they just bend this way up, and they literally just go in here and they spread out and keep the grill from coming off. There's the other place where it goes up and they just spread out. Notice there's some cobwebs. Because this has a built-in LED light, there's also a power cord. And that goes into the unit, and we should be able, make sure you've turned off this, by the way. No power should be coming to this unit. So off, circuit breaker off. And we're going to unclip this. It looks like I might, yes, there's a clip there. So I think if I pull that down, I should be able to free that and get it out. With the grill unit out of the way, we can actually see the clip that controls the LED, and it was a catch. I think you can see the teeth there. It goes in this way. So if you push on the back end, see how it lifts up on the front? Let's see if I can get you a better view. See how this front end goes up when you push on the back of this. And that'll, once you press down on that and this claw comes up, you can just pull this out. So cleaning is going to be brush. You don't want to dip this in water because, again, there's an LED unit in here and supposedly it's watertight, but there's no sense in finding out that it isn't watertight and just ruining the unit. Plus there's some electronics in here that I'm sure are not watertight. So anyway, just better to be safe than sorry. So what I'm going to do is use a brush and also an air compressor to blow all this out. And I'm going to blow from the back, since you came up to the unit this way. I'm going to blow from the back side, blowing it out, and then we're going to brush. And you can use a stiff bristle brush, an old toothbrush. Don't use your current toothbrush. That'll clean it out. And if you need, if there's stuff that's really caked on here, then you could put a little bit of like dishwashing lotion on the brush or on a paper towel and use that. But you probably won't have to. But again, it depends on the environment that your unit's coming out of. Now on the main unit, you see that's the blower that pulls in the moisture and air to expel it out. We're going to wipe all this down. Normally, I would like to take this unit out I'm not sure if I can do that with this one. I have to do some exploring because that just gives me a better chance to clean the fins out, because no doubt they have some buildup, though it doesn't look all that bad. But still, as long as we're here, I'd like to get the whole thing down. I can't just undo that nut because there's this cover that shrouds it in. So I think ideally, maybe I could take that cover off, but still, ideally I'd like to take the whole thing out as one unit, just leave the metal case in place. But first thing I'm gonna do is clean the grill, then inspect this and see if I can take it apart. I'm gonna use this nozzle. We're pushing about 60 PSI from a compressor, and I'm just gonna blow the dirt and dust back to where it came from, the side underneath. While cleaning the unit, I noticed that there are hinges on the light fixture and that there is a screw here. So I'm gonna see if I can get this apart, because if I can get the electronics and the light out of the way, then I can clean this grill so much easier. Because, let me show you. Yep, light and electronics move out of the way. Don't lose that screw. Gives you an opening. The problem is the grill is double stacked. So you have a grill here, and underneath it there's another grill. Flip it over. So I can clean this part, but you see that underneath? That's the underside of this, and it's hard to get into that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen it up. And then, since this is plastic, I can dip this in some water with dishwashing lotion and get it really clean. Using the bristle brush and the toothbrush and the air compressor, I've got it fairly clean, but I got a bucket of water and some dishwashing lotion. I'm going to put it in there and see if I can get it like brand new. Continue washing and brushing until your staggered grill looks like this. Nice and clean. Don't forget to also clean off the surface side of the lamp, because it'll have built up a layer of gunk. Reassembly is easy. We take the tabs that are sticking out of the light, hook them underneath, drop the unit down into position, line up the screw hole, put in our screw with a Phillips screwdriver, and that's it. We're ready to get this back into the fixture. Again, to unplug the power to the fan, just push that clip in and pull out. That goes on the left side, whereas the light one goes on the right side. They can't be confused because they're different connectors. There's a screw here and a screw there. I'm going to try to loosen those and see if this unit will come out. It's a very tight fit. Here's the unit once removed from the ceiling. You can see there's crud, squirrel cage. Isn't bad for 3 years, but it needs a little cleaning. I want to hand it to Panasonic because they enable you to loosen the screws without taking them out, and the unit actually releases from the base and the ceiling where it's attached. So hats off to them. There's one control on this unit to control airflow. So you can pick from any of these numbers and it'll write up to whatever number you select. Anyway, so right now I'm gonna just clean this with a toothbrush, blow that out, and don't think I'm gonna take it any further apart, because in order to get inside of here, I'm gonna need to pop that open, That takes out the motor. We'd have to disconnect that. We'll see if I'm up for it. I happen to have this laying around, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. Take 5 screws out. Squeeze the connector clip just like we've done for the other two. That'll separate out. That's the motor, so you don't need to unscrew that. But if you lift up and turn a little counterclockwise, this unit should, if I can do it with one hand, there it is. So now we can take this outside and clean it. And if I need to, I can break that nut loose and just wash the squirrel cage. But being that the squirrel cage isn't that bad, I don't think that will be necessary. As I put the brush and the compressor to this, I realized that there was just too much caked on to come off easily. So I have to take off that nut. It is a 12 millimeter, and when you attach the socket, you're going to turn counterclockwise to loosen it, because righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. With the nut loosened, set it aside, don't lose it. You should be able to lift up and out. We leave this alone because this is the motor and the electronics. This, we can actually make sure there's no washer back there. No. We can just take this and put it in our soapy water, and with our toothbrush get this really nice and clean. When you're finally done, your housing should be dustless and clean, both on the inside and the outside. By the way, this turns out to be a drip tray that actually has a little drain hole right there. So when the fan's spinning, any condensation that it picks up drops into this ring and falls out of there, so that you know you got condensation. Anyway, here's the cover. It's clean. We've washed this, and it should look more black than it does ashen. And if you see, this looks like the letter D, and that lines up with the shaft. So if you line it up that way, it should just drop in. There you go. And now we're going to put our nut, tighten it. You could put Loctite on it. They didn't, so I'm not. But you want it firm, not super tight, otherwise you could deform the squirrel cage. And make sure you don't cross thread. So that's why you see me going back and forth, trying to catch the correct thread that'll enable it to go all the way until it's seated. So I'm going to give that just a slight tweak, make sure it's on sturdy. Then we're going to take this and put it in here. That's in place. So all we do is pick it up, drop it into the housing, turn it clockwise until we get the screw holes to line up. And once those are in position, then we can start putting back our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. Connecting this wire here, it just simply clicks into place. And then we can put this back in the ceiling using that screw there and the screw down here. All we have to do is just push this unit into the ceiling and tighten those 2 screws, and we should be set. Then of course you have to make sure that you plug this so that we can energize the motor for the unit. Quick tip, you may have to take that screw out just so that you can move this module out of the way so that this metal plate can overlap so that screw can drop into place. There's a little lip on the edge here that needs to catch on the plastic, and this can sometimes be in the way, so you may have to just pull that screw out until you drop that in and then secure it in place, and then finally put that screw back in its position. Before putting the blower back in, note that there's an opening, the exit for the air. Everything else is solid and the connectors are over here. So you're going to have your blower with that opening facing that way. Here's a look at that opening. So as you saw in that video, that's the opening in the box, and we're going to be putting it in this way, this being the top and this being the underside. We're just going to lift that into place. Before making any electrical connections, we drive one of the screws in, and because of the way Panasonic designed this, they're aligned already, so all you have to do is just drive them in. With the motor in place, we make our connection into the plug. It simply just slides in and clicks. And then this one's for the light once we get that in position. And remember, the trick with these is that you have to squeeze them like this so that you can get them past the catch. Then you can release them. Same for the other side. Now we make the light connection. Clip only goes in one way. It should click. Once that's in position, we grab our clips, bring them together, get them past the catch, release, and then we'll do the same thing to the other side. By the way, as a special thank you, I've included 4 tips on reducing moisture in the shower, so stay tuned for that. With everything connected, it's time to test it out and see if it really works. The light works. Now we turn on the fan. The fan's kind of quiet. There you go. You can hear the fan. So we know the unit is working. It's coming up to, I think, 110 cubic feet per minute that it moves out. And it seems a little bit quieter than it was before. It's certainly a lot cleaner. So congratulations. You can do it. Just takes a little time, a little bit of elbow grease, and a few extra tools that I forgot to mention. So you're going to need a Phillips, preferably a Phillips with a driver that's long so that you can have that reach to get into the box, or just a really long manual Phillips. After taking a shower, don't be quick to turn off the exhaust fan. Let it run 5 to 10 minutes so it can get most of the moisture out of the room. Use a squeegee or a towel to get rid of the moisture on the glass and walls. It's better to get it down the drain than to wait for it to evaporate. Wiping down the fixtures minimizes the chance of corrosion, mildew, and bacteria. Before leaving the bathroom, leave the shower glass doors open so that air can circulate and dry out the enclosure. If you found this video interesting or useful, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, join our subscription team, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching.